this is my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, so this episode is a continuation of the last one, and at the start of this one, Okuyasu and Josuke are looking for Koichi, understandably, since he's kind of gone missing and they don't know where he is. His family doesn't know where he is, so they realize that the most logical conclusion is that Yukako took him. So they begin to do some research into where he might be, pointing out that it might be a matter of life and death. And also begin researching into areas that are secluded, since they know that Koichi's stand has a limit of 50 meters, so she would have to have him pretty out of the way. Although they're not entirely sure if he knows about her stand or not. So, and if they know about each other's stand or not. Not most likely not in Koichi's case, but they realize that she most likely doesn't know about his stand, but would most likely keep him secluded regardless. So, meanwhile, Koichi isn't having a fun time. So he basically in the first 5 minutes of the episode, he's trying to solve a puzzle that Yukako left for him to get into the bathroom, and he's unable to solve it and wets himself, and she has to clean up after him. So at which point he remarks why she even loves him, pointing out that he's kind of a gross human being. He's not really the kind of person worth loving, and sure enough, he's a little bit surprised that she's even willing to clean up after him after all that, and is openly curious as to why she even loves him in the first place. At which point Yukako remarks that she sees a spark in his eyes, realizes that he has something that if he were truly a terrible human being, he wouldn't actually have a spark of life in his eyes, and that he would just be kind of this dull, deluded person. But because she can see that there is indeed some good in him, she realizes that that's at least worth protecting. And also points out that she doesn't really mind cleaning up after him, so long because she loves him and it doesn't really matter. And also remarks that she's also been building an electric chair for his study time when for dinner. And sure enough, leaves to go buy some stuff for dinner. And sure enough, Koichi realizes that he's in a bit of a predicament, because if she uses the electric chair on him, it's going to cause problems. So he begins to think of a way to escape, and realizes that she most likely that there's most likely a payphone nearby, since she ripped out all the phones in the house. And sure enough, there is, and it just so happens to be close enough to the house that it's within Koichi's range, so he's able to actually use Echoes to dial it. But then realizes too late that he doesn't have money to actually pay for the payphone. And sure enough, Yukako admits as such, and realizes that she saw through this entire thing, and points out that she's now going to go disable this payphone and make sure that he can't actually call the police. So sure enough, she goes to do that. However, what she's unaware of is that Echoes is actually still lingering around the payphone when she gets there, and through the use of his power and her own money, he's able to actually call Josuke for help. It's a little weird how he does it. He actually uses his stand power to generate the sounds. He uses it to generate the dial tones that he needs to call Josuke, which for whatever reason work. It seems a little wishy-washy, but then again, it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so I'm not really surprised. But it does seem like a little bit of an asshole that this just works. But in any case, he's able to call Josuke, and though he isn't able to get any words in edgewise because Yukako is at the phone, the call lasts long enough that Josuke and Okuyasu are able to conclude that he's somewhere near water, and conclude that he's most likely in one of the capes on the south of Morio. So they quickly get into a cab, and Koichi realizes now that he only has to wait a few minutes before Josuke and Okuyasu come to get him. So he begins to barricade the house using a book cabinet and pieces of Yukako's homemade electrical chair. And sure enough, she arrives at the front door and is a mix of pissed that she got tricked, but also pleasantly surprised that she's not the only one with her type of ability, and realizes that it's mostly, and realizing that they have a connection, it only makes her love him even more, which is a little bit messed up, but okay. We've established that Yukako isn't firing on all cylinders, and sure enough, she asks if Koichi actually does love her, to which he responds using his stand. He hates her. He makes sure she knows it by implanting the words "I hate you" on her body, which she shrugs off because she's delusional. So yeah, he quickly realizes that doesn't work, and she's upset that Koichi is very much adamant on the fact that she's resisting him and playing hard to get. She then uses the hair that she implanted into his scalp to fling him around the room and knocks some of the electrical chair pieces and the bookshelf out of the way. Not enough that she can get in, but enough that she can at the very least get the door open. So, and sure enough, Koichi, afraid for his life, recalls Echoes, only to discover that Echoes is actually dried out and turned into a brown husk. And he thinks that he overworks it to the point that he killed it, even though that's not how stands work. And sure enough, Yukako notices something Koichi doesn't, namely that the stand isn't dying, but rather it's evolving. And sure enough, she forces her way into the house, but not before Koichi's stand actually evolves into its new form, and blows her away. And Koichi quickly realizes that this is a new form of Echoes, but one that's now actually suited for combat. Case in point, it implanted words on the door that she just burst into as she was coming in, and it blows her away. So he quickly realizes that this is a new form of Echoes and decides to call it Echoes Act 2. But Yukako quickly collects herself and also realizes that Josuke and Okiyasu have arrived in the taxi cab, but she's undeterred because Koichi is hers, basically, as she puts it. And sure enough, makes another attempt for the door, only to get burned because Koichi used his stand to implant words on the handrail before she could come over. And also, he's cut out all of the hair in all of his hair, or at the very least, he's given himself a very short haircut. So now her stand isn't able to fling him around anymore. So and points out that she's not going to be, that if she gets close, she will be defeated. But of course, Yukako doesn't listen and begins using her stand to its fullest ability, wrapping her hair around the entire house, which Josuke and Okiyasu notice and immediately make a beeline for, because they were already in the area, they notice that something's going on, so they just kind of make a beeline for her house, and points out that she loves him, but he needs to admit that he loves her back, or she'll kill him. But Koichi points out very adamantly that she still isn't listening to him, and points out that he's been trying to say this the whole time. He doesn't like her, and it's because of that they're in this situation to begin with. At which point she attacks him, only to discover that he's already implanted words on himself, and she goes flying. And sure enough, Koichi thinks he's knocked her out, and is even a little concerned that he killed her. Also, because he did that, it also causes a feedback loop into her entire stand, which just causes all of her hair to turn white. So, and he becomes fairly concerned that he's killed her, and he uses Echoes to check it out, and is surprised that she isn't, and is relieved that she isn't dead. But then she attacks his stand and cuts off the end of his tail, so he can't actually use his stand to create sounds anymore. And sure enough, she cuts off the end of its tail. It bounces on some rocks below and falls into the ocean. So yeah, it's pretty clear that Koichi isn't going to be able to use his stand to fight back. And also she remarks that even if she can't have him, she will at the very least kill him, so that way he'll exist as a memory in her heart forever, and then he'll be hers forever. But sure enough, then she hears a loud crack and is curious as to what's going on. And Koichi remarks that while he was checking her heartbeat, he also noticed that the impact of her hitting the cliff actually caused it to break and caused the ground to give way. And Yukiko initially dismisses it because she believes that he's just trying to make up an excuse so that he can get away and escape. But as it turns out, no, he wasn't lying. the cliff underneath her feet gives way, and she begins to fall into the sharp rocks below. And she realizes that she realizes too late that she needs to let go of Koichi's stand so she can use her own stand to grab onto something. But it doesn't. But too late. She realizes to no avail that she has no time left to do that, and realizes in her last moments, this is it. I'm going to die. So, but as a surprising twist, she doesn't. As a matter of fact, Koichi actually implanted his stand's power into the rock, which causes her to just bounce off of it like a trampoline, and she just flies back up onto the cliff. Which I should mention at the end of the episode actually creates a new landmark in Morio. So yeah, the fight between Yukako and Koichi actually creates a new landmark, which is interesting. They call it Boing Rock for obvious reasons. But in any case, Yukako lands back up on the cliff safe and sound. At which point Koichi points out that she still isn't listening to him, and she quickly realizes that he was planning to save her the whole time, regardless of what happened. And sure enough, her love grows deeper because of this, realizing that she falling in love with his heroism rather than her delusional form of love. It's an actual genuine love now. But case in point, she decides that even if she watches him from a distance, she'll be happy that way. But and also learns that she needs to just give Koichi his space, which is understandable. She kind of has an epiphany here that Koichi is indeed a genuinely nice guy, and she's been kind of a jerk the whole time. So she quickly realizes that she needs to change. And sure enough, she concludes by the end of the episode that while she still loves Koichi, she's going to give him his distance now, and realizes that she doesn't need to make him love her so much as she just needs to respect Koichi as a person. That's her conclusion by the end of the episode. She needs to respect Koichi as a person. And sure enough, after this moment, Josuke and Oikeyasu show up and see that Koichi is still alive, and are also a little bit concerned that Yukako is in fact smiling like she couldn't be happier, and decide to hightail it out of there. So they quickly realize, because she got defeated, yet she's happy as hell. So they quickly realize they need to get the hell out of Dodge. And sure enough, as they arrive at school, I'm not entirely sure if it's the next day or if it's the same day. But either way, actually, I think it is a couple of days after that, because Koichi gets his test back, and he got a 100, although he's a little concerned. So he's a little concerned about the fact that he got a perfect 100, because on the one hand, yes, he got a 100 when he wasn't doing too well because Yukako stressed him out, but on the other hand, it was Yukako's teaching through fear that enabled him to get 100. So yeah, it's both chaos, and it's both is and is not a good thing. Literally, we can't live with her, but apparently he also can't live without her, because her teaching him through fear actually helped him do well because he got a 100. So yeah, that's the end of this episode. That's the end of this two-parter, though. Yukako by the end of this realizes that she needs to give Koichi his space, which is understandable because she's been a little bit cray-cray up to this point. And Koichi becomes more confident in himself and gains a new form for his stand. So overall, those are two very big developments that happened during this arc. Koichi's stand evolves into a new form, Tuskak 2, and Yukako, even more in love with Koichi, instead decides to actually love him like an actual human being instead of a crazy yandere like she has been. So yeah, that's just what happened in this episode. It's an interesting end to the episode. So I'm imagining we're going to eventually see Yukako again, and she's going to try and make Koichi love her again, but I think she's going to change her methods a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm pretty sure she hasn't. I don't think she's changed completely. I think she's still a little bit infatuated with, she's definitely infatuated with Koichi a little bit more, but now it's a different kind of love. So I'm thinking we're going to see her again, but she's going to do something, she's gonna have some completely different methods. So in any case, yeah, that's my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What do you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks out my way saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. And also next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!